Today we are talking about pretty important topic. So we are going to be talking about dealing with product suspensions, so saving you from headache. And if you've been selling for a while already on Amazon, then if you're going to be selling, you're eventually going to be pretty much you have to deal with suspensions of different types. Part of the game, I would say. Instead of just crying and complaining about it and it's so unfair, how about we actually take responsibility and deal with the situation in an adult-like manner? What do you say? So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about different types of Amazon suspensions that there might be, common product suspension reasons, because it's nowadays. It's not pretty rare that your listing would get suspended without any reason. Typically there is a reason. There is some reason behind it. Sure, it might be a misunderstanding or whatever, but still, there's a reason why it's happening, right? So, but that's actually a good thing because then we know that we are able to fix it. If there's a reason, we can fix it, right? So then preventive measures to avoid suspensions and backend actions for resolution. And additionally, you will get this email template that you can use to send Amazon support. So let's go into it. Temporary suspensions. These are normally due to short-term issues such as late shipments, increased order defect rate, and sellers can usually reinstate their accounts once these issues are solved. But since if you're mainly just doing FBA, then this isn't much of an issue, because one thing that Amazon always has valued is the delivery time, how quickly the customer gets their product. And if there's any kind of delays on that, then Amazon won't be happy and they might actually suspend the listing or prevent getting more sales until the issues are fixed. It makes sense because they just want to provide great customer service, which means that, okay, if you're not able to deliver the orders on time, or if you're not able to deliver the orders on time, then they actually want to prevent getting sales in the first place, right? So that Amazon doesn't end up with disappointed customers. Then permanent suspensions. These can actually result from more severe or repeated violations, including selling prohibited items, engaging in fraudulent activities, or failing to address policy violations adequately. So reinstatement becomes much more challenging in these cases. But actually, I would say mostly, most of them are usually temporary. And even if you get the message from Amazon saying that, hey, this is the final decision and you cannot appeal and that's it. Even in that case, there's still something that you can do to resolve the issue. So don't worry if you get this message from Amazon saying that, because that's going to happen, right? Like when you do your plan of action, when you present your plan of action to Amazon, how to resolve the issue and how you don't end up in the same situation again. There's there's limited amount of opportunities how many times you can do that. And if you mess up all the opportunities, then at the end they're gonna say that, okay, that's it. No, you cannot appeal anymore. You're suspended for good. But that doesn't mean that you cannot appeal anymore. No, you can, but you just need to be smarter about it, and you need to know how to do that. And it's funny actually that even when you're making the account, like I remember I made a new account in the US, and it took me a while to get the bank statement or the bank statement in order to verify the account. I was actually using Payoneer, and it took them like a week to provide me this one simple document. So by that time, I mean, Amazon had already suspended the account, and they just sent a message saying, okay, this has been permanently, your account has been permanently suspended. Like even in that case, they said that, no, I mean, you're suspended for good. But then I just sent the document, the bank statement, and boom, account was verified and no issues at all. Then policy violation suspensions. I mean, this often occurs when sellers breach Amazon rules and policies, such as selling restricted items or manipulating reviews. And the resolution depends on the severity of the violation and the seller's willingness to rectify it. And it's funny how, like, I mean, we always talk about the responsibility process and how it's number one thing to do pretty much in all situations in life is to take responsibility, and that actually applies to these scenarios as well. And it's funny, like you can see the same thing dealing with Amazon, dealing with Facebook, or dealing with Google or whatever. I mean, what they always want is the customer to take responsibility of the situation instead of blaming or saying that, no, so sorry, it was a mistake, blah blah blah. No, I mean, number one is always to take responsibility that, yeah, I realize, I acknowledge that this has happened, and it hasn't happened because of this and that and blah blah blah. And then to prevent from happening this from happening again, I'm going to be doing X. Yeah. Then account level suspensions. So, I mean, the accounts can face suspensions due to policy violations, poor performance metrics, inauthentic product claims, or repeated suspensions. So these suspensions affect an entire seller's account and prevent the seller from listing or selling any products on Amazon. And one of the issues that Amazon takes quick action is, for example, any kind of copyright or trademark infringements. So if you are violating copyright or trademarks, it might happen that they shut the listing and they then suspend the whole account. Because, I mean, in these type of claims, they usually act first, and then it's up to you to, I mean, figure out, okay, what happened, why did it happen, and what do I need to do, right? Then there are suspensions on this product listing level. So ASINs can be suspended for issues related to listing violations in the intellectual property complaints, safety concerns, or product or authenticity problems. And one of the most severe issues on Amazon is selling something that was used as new. But since we're not doing like wholesale here, I mean, we are not really selling any used items, so it's not really applicable for us. But I mean, even if you're doing private label, it might actually happen that you get this kind of complaint. I mean, even if you have disabled this refurbished, which means that when someone returns the product to Amazon just returns it to the inventory, and they usually can do a pretty sloppy job in cleaning it up, which means that then the next customer is going to see the previous customer's name and the product looks all dirty and so on. So that would actually mean that you're basically selling used item as a new item, which definitely Amazon it does not like at all. But yeah, even if you're not doing, even if you're not selling used items, it can still happen. So product label suspension reasons, intellectual property infringement. So if your product listing infringes on another party's intellectual property rights, such as trademarks, copyrights, or patents. So that can also mean, or actually, let's take the example here. A seller lists phone case with a copyrighted image without obtaining the necessary rights of or permission. And same thing with the images. I know a case where the seller was using, actually it was a case that the seller had just, ordered the product listing images from some freelancer, from some graphic designer, and then the graphic designer had just used some images that he didn't have the right to use. So I guess, yeah, maybe he had just Googled Googled for something or whatever. But anyway, then the rights owner complained, and obviously the listing got immediately down, and then there was a pretty difficult case to deal with. So it makes it's common sense, right? Like if you use something that you don't have the right to use, then obviously there's gonna be an issue with that. Or it might be that your product listing has a trademark keyword, or you're using other brand or whatnot. So this is the thing that you need to be careful in making sure that whatever you use in the listing that you actually have the right to use. Then safety concerns. So if your product is found to be unsafe, defective, or violates Amazon's safety standards, and that's pretty common sense, right? Like if the product causes any kind of harm or has the potential to cause any kind of harm, then obviously it will be suspended, product list will be taken down, and then the issue needs to be dealt with. For example, seller listing a children's toy that has small parts that pose choking hazard, and customers report the safety issue. Like if you have small parts and it's something that outside, it doesn't even need to be a toy, but you still need to have the warning that, hey, this includes small parts, or maybe there's like some kind of bag. Then if it's a choking hazard, then it needs to have these warning labels. Then other kinds of violations, using prohibited keywords, false claims, or misleading information on the product listing. For example, listing features that it doesn't really have, like water resistance or particular like quality, if it has a lens or like option to use a camera and so on. Then poor product quality or condition. So if the customer receives a product that does not match the description or is in poor condition. So that's what I what I meant before, that if you're selling a new item but it looks like used item, then that's gonna be a big problem. And it doesn't, the crazy thing is that it doesn't even need to have, you don't even need to have many of these type of cases. Like even just one complaint, one customer is enough to become such size a problem that it can take the whole listing down, and maybe even the whole Amazon account, depending on the situation, right? So customer will receive a damaged item when they expected new ones. So this would basically be defective. And one thing to also keep in mind is that, Amazon tracks everything. So we have this order defect rate that is claimed as like acceptable order defect rate on Amazon. So if we get more than like 1% of defective units, then that's going to be a problem, and that's going to put our Amazon account at risk. So we really need to make sure that the items that we are selling are like good enough and there's no quality issues or anything else like that. So that's why we cannot go to Amazon to sell some garbage. No, whatever we sell has to be good quality, and it doesn't jeopardize the customer in any way, and it really gives it delivers on the promises that we give on the product listing, and it includes everything that is listed in the product listing, and there's no like discrepancy in what the product listing says and what the what the customer actually gets. I mean, in their hand when they finally have the product on their hands. So I would say that's a good way to summarize that the customer always gets what the product listing says. So as long as we keep that simple rule in mind, then I mean we are going to be in pretty good situation, right? So always that's a simple rule. Customer must receive what the product listing says. Then yeah, I mean obviously if we would sell any counterfeit or fake products, then that's gonna put the product listing at jeopardy. So and I'm sure like if you have been selling on Amazon for years and years, then you have already probably gotten these like false counterfeit claims. And actually we just got it like during summer. Some law firm had made a counterfeit claim, and then they were asking money. I think it was like they told us that yeah, your product is violating our trademark and our patent number XXX, and then we check on the patent. I mean, it's not even. I mean, it's just a bogus claim, but somehow they managed to convince Amazon that yeah, this is a case. So, and they what they wanted is that we need to pay them, what's it like $4,000 and promise to never sell it again. So sign some kind of agreement that yeah, we will take the product listing. I mean, we will remove all the inventory and blah blah blah. And when we said that no, we are not going to do that. I mean, thanks for your very kind offer, but no, we are not going to pay you $4,000 and then remove all the inventory. And it's funny. Then they came up with a counter offer that, hey, how about $2,000? So yeah, I mean, it was just a scam, and unfortunately, these things happen. But I mean, they were backed up by a real law firm in the US. So these things might happen, but anyway, what happened was that we just made the case to Amazon, had like an expert to deal with this case, and then I mean, the issue was solved, and we didn't really have to pay anything for this blackmail attempt. But obviously, I mean, it came with a cost, right? Because then we had to pay this expert lawyer to deal with this issue. But yeah, unfortunately, there are also some of these unethical players in the game. Yes, so example would be that seller lists branded electronics at a significantly lower price than competitors, and customers discover they are cheap knockoffs. Yeah, I mean, that's blatant violation of rules. It's pretty obvious, right? Then what can we do? What can we do so that we don't end up in this in these situations, or at least minimize the risk? So, I mean, if you're getting for a scenario like I mentioned during summer, I mean, there's not much you can do to prevent it. But in terms of your own actions or suspensions that would be caused by your own actions that you take, then there's plenty of things that we can actually do. So one thing is that we just understand the Amazon policies that they are. So carefully reading through the Amazon seller policies, code of conduct, and product detail page rules, which means that what can we say on the product listing and what we cannot say on the product listing. And one thing is that this actually depends on the category. This can depend even on the product. So there's not like a simple answer that, yeah, you can always say this and you can never say that. No, it really depends on the category and the product. So that's why it's just wiser that we take the time to read through the rules ourselves to make sure that we actually are aware of all the rules that there are. Yeah, I mean, ignoring the rules is no excuse for these violations. Then we can actually audit our listings ourselves. I mean, check the existing product listing for accuracy, completeness, and compliance with Amazon's policies, and then make any necessary updates. So supplier vetting. So if you source products from suppliers, verify the legitimacy and the quality of the products that they provide. And that's another thing that, okay, I mean, let's say that we would do our part in terms of selling and listing, but maybe actually the supplier is doing something that they shouldn't be doing. For example, maybe some of their certifications or some other documents are just bogus. If that's the case, then I mean, it doesn't matter who made it, but it's our responsibility to make sure that everything we list on Amazon, or the product listing details and everything, are actually accurate, and we don't have any false information there. And then, I mean, it's always a good idea to avoid any kind of low quality items. And yeah, I mean, obviously no counterfeits. Then intellectual property compliance. So we really want to double check that we are not selling any counterfeit or unauthorized items, and that we respect any kind of intellectual property rights. And sure, I mean, it might happen that sometimes we just use a keyword that's been traded, that has a trademark. So, but in those cases, we just need to clean up the listing and remove that like keyword from pretty much from everywhere. And same thing, and it doesn't like with the trademark, it doesn't mean that we are using a brand name. I mean, that's pretty easy. I mean, avoiding using brand names or certain things, but that's not all of it, because it can also be a certain keyword that has a trademark. Because actually we did it ourselves. We copyrighted one keyword. So the keyword itself, I mean, it has nothing to do with, I mean, it's not the product name or anything like this. It's just a keyword that describes the product. So we were able to file a trademark for that keyword for a reason or another. But I mean, we filed it and it was accepted. So now basically all other sellers have to avoid using the keyword. So then, okay, let's say that we get a suspension. So next, what we need to do is we need to create a plan how to handle the suspension, including gathering necessary documents, documentation, and understanding the appeal process. So this is absolutely crucial, because we have a limited amount of times that we can do this. We cannot file endless amount of plans of actions. No, I mean, we need to get it right the first time. So whenever you get suspension, maybe for the product listing or even for the account, first thing is to breathe, take a deep breath, and number one thing is to take responsibility. So blaming, justifying, or whatever, I mean, it will do no good. What we have to do in this case is just to realize that, I mean, we have to take the responsibility for this, and we will do a great plan of action. Amazon will actually accept and then reopen the product listing. So, but let's go through some steps that we could actually do. So, okay, we just got a suspension. So what do we do? Well, actually, instead of starting to write any kind of plan, let's actually just talk with Amazon first. So request a call with Amazon seller support regarding the suspended listing. Clearly state that you want to discuss the compliance issue and seek guidance on resolving it. Because first thing we want to do is we want to understand that why did this happen? Like, okay, what exactly is the complaint about? We don't want to assume, we don't want to jump into conclusions, because it might be that, okay, then we actually have a misunderstanding of the issue, and then when we write the plan of action, well, the plan of action is for a different issue than the complaint is about. Then obviously, I mean, Amazon is just going to reject the plan of action, and then we missed our first attempt. So let's not miss any attempts. Let's just first figure out details that what is the issue about, and clarify together with Amazon that what is the complaint and what is the proper resolution. And during the call, I mean, explain to Amazon that the issue tag associated with your product is inaccurate. Or, I mean, if it's accurate, then, I mean, then we would need to fix it, right? But typically it might be that, I mean, this is not the case. So then we explain that, yeah, I mean, it's inaccurate, and emphasize that the product is not recalled or dangerous, providing any relevant evidence or documentation. For example, if you are getting a safety issue, then, I mean, we need to demonstrate how the product really is not a safety concern, right? Step 3, request information about the suspension. So politely inquire about the specific reasons or keywords that led to the listing suspension. Understanding the root cause will help prevent the future compliance issues. So let's say that we are using some words that we shouldn't be using on the product listing. So okay, let's clean up the product listing, right? So we can just upload the listing using a flat file, doing this parcel update. So we just download the product flat file template from Select and Run, and then remove all this product information, search terms, and descriptions to create this parcel update, and then update the title to comply with these guidelines. Because let's say we are using in the title something that we shouldn't be using, then okay, we just need to update the title by removing the keywords that we should be using. Next step, then we need to create this compliance letter. So draft a concise compliance letter addressing the issues raised by Amazon. So what we actually need to include in this typically called like the plan of action is the dates, the title, matching the name of the product, the Amazon standard identification number, the UPC code, brand name, manufacturer name, business address, contact number, and then signature of an authorized representative. This means you as the business owner. And then we basically just sent this to Amazon. And exclude certificate references. So if you don't have a certificate related to the product, avoid mentioning any certificate related information in the compliance letter. So don't claim to have any kind of certifications if you don't actually have those. And that's what I mean, that like if the supplier is providing some documents and certifications, then we actually need to do the diligence in order to make sure that the documents that they are providing are actually legit, and that they are, that they are global documents, which means that they are not just some local Chinese documents, but they are actually something that are approved like globally. But obviously in some cases it might be more tricky to tricky to find out. But I gave some tips in the video when I talked about sourcing from China, like how to actually make sure that the documents that they provide are for real, and they are not any kind of manufactured documents or forced documents. So yeah, step number 7 is that sending this plan of action or compliance letter to Amazon along with updated flat file to Amazon seller support via email. Clearly state that this email is for reinstating the suspended listing. Then you basically just need to wait for the response from Amazon. So be patient and refrain from making any follow-up calls or emails to Amazon, because typically it doesn't take them that long to read through it and then give a response. So allow Amazon just enough time to review the submitted information and process the reinstatement request. So remember that just to maintain a professional, respectful tone throughout all the interactions with Amazon seller support, and following these steps diligently will increase the chances of successfully reinstating your listing. So that's pretty much it. So there's also this template file that you can use. So you have access to these slides in the membership area. In case you need it, then just make a copy of this template home, but hopefully you never need it, right? But it's better to be prepared than end up in situations where you're caught off guard and you really don't know what to do next. But I would say that pretty much all the claims issues that we have had, I mean, it's never been a case that, it's just, there's absolutely no reason for this, and is this just complete BS? I mean, typically there is a reason. So maybe we have used a keyword that we shouldn't have, or, well, I mean, maybe it's a blackmail attempt like we had that summer, but I mean, still, I mean, Amazon was doing their job, I guess, meaning that intellectual property rights complaints more seriously, meaning because if they wouldn't act on it, if Amazon, like if you complain about someone violating your IP to Amazon and Amazon does nothing, then you basically have grounds to sue Amazon, right? Because maybe you just complain, but Amazon refuses to do anything, then you can file charges against Amazon. So Amazon obviously wants to avoid that. So they take these IP claims very seriously. But I mean, as a result, sometimes we get these like false claims and even like blackmail attempts that we had. But even in those cases, I mean, if you just deal with it accordingly, I mean, it's not really a problem. So sure, I mean, you lose sales because your product listing is closed. But if you swiftly handle it, then at least, I mean, your listing will not be closed for too long time. And then you can just get back up and get your listing reinstated.